Hello, and welcome to the Afterlife. I'm Dre,
I'm Luke.
and today we're going to be talking about haunted paintings, or cursed paintings. There's a lot of artwork out there that is allegedly cursed or quote-unquote haunted. So we're going to be diving into that today. Some of them you might already know about, maybe others you haven't, but without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in.
So there's, what painting do you want to start out with?
So there's a painting, you may have heard of it, you've likely seen it. It's called The Hands Resist Him. It was painted in 1972 by Bill Stoneham, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Basically...
Yeah, I don't know if it's Stoneham or Stoneham.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I've heard it pronounced both, but it might be Stoneham? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've never even heard it out loud until you just said it.
Okay, so you're probably familiar with the artwork then.
Yeah, this one is what I thought of, like, when we first had the idea to do this video topic.
Okay.
Like this painting.
Yeah, I remember seeing this image as like a kid, and which is actually kind of funny now that I'm looking back. I think I was like a little kid watching a YouTube video about haunted paintings, and here we are making a YouTube video about haunted paintings, which is to traumatize the next generation. So, but yeah, if you've ever seen the painting, it's got a very dark background, and there's an image of a little boy who kind of has like this like almost like a sinister scowl, and there's like a glass pane door, and there's all these hands like reaching out at him, and then he's standing next to like a little doll that's like a girl for some reason, that's like human size. It's just really odd. I remember hearing years ago that the little boy would leap out of the canvas and wander around. I've heard that. I've heard that he, quote unquote, would kind of shift different areas of the painting, like he was trying to look for an escape. And if you just look up the painting, you just get like a really uneasy feeling. And that's what a lot of people have reported feeling. Like, they have like feelings of being like uneasy or sick to their stomach. Now, one common thing that I've noticed with these like haunted paintings, quote unquote, and I'm not saying that to be like these paintings aren't haunted at all, I'm not being dismissive or anything like that. But one common thing that I have seen is that a lot of them are allegedly cursed or allegedly haunted. Now, of course, that goes without saying, like, any location. You could say that about any haunted prison, hotel, cemetery, anything. You know, some people experience things and some people don't. But what I have noticed, though, in particular with the paintings, is that some people allegedly, quote unquote, had misfortune happen to them. Now, again, you could say that about anything. But my theory is a lot of that like a placebo that you're just wrongly attributing to an eerie painting? Or is it legit? That's the question I'm posing. Because some of the paintings that we'll cover, you'll find out that they have a fairly normal background. The artist didn't really even mean any malintention. You know, it's not like this painting was made in order to summon some ancient deity or something like that. It just happens to be some really grotesque, creepy art, you know? So that's where some of my theories will kind of come in, but with this painting, the hands that... Go ahead, were you going to say something?
Well, with the uneasiness, I think like something about the painting, because I've been staring at it this whole time while you've been like talking about it.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah. So the doll, she has like blacked out eyes, and then you have the little boy, and he's perfectly center with the glass, and like the hands are very disturbing because there's 11 hands you can see behind the glass pane, and that's all you can see. It's all blacked out, and so he's like lined up in the center with what looks like the moon is at the top pane glass, and I think the way it's balanced is very disturbing. It's very disturbing. Maybe it's just hitting that, what do they call it?
Uncanny Valley?
Right. Yeah, you read my mind, bro. 'Cause you don't know whether the kid's a threat or if the hands are a threat.
Yeah.
And why doesn't he seem concerned with the hands? It's honestly a pretty brilliant painting. And yeah, I agree. Like, I doubt the artist meant to do harm with it. But it says here, within only a few years of its completion, 3 men closely associated with the painting, including the gallery owner who first contracted it and the patron, Godfather actor John Marley, who first purchased it, were dead.
And I believe it was within a year of each other, the deaths.
Yeah, it says with only a few years, so probably, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. So, like, something like that, it's not concrete, but it's kind of odd.
But it does. Exactly. And that's funny that you mentioned that, because I had some of that in my notes here, but that's honestly what I was kind of wondering myself is... Now, I did like your kind of analysis, because I didn't really think about the center and like where the focal point of the painting would be. But I would say what makes that image so disturbing, and again, this is like one of my theories, is that it almost goes back to a primal instinct. Now, like for example, if you notice in horror movies, if you ever seen any of the Insidious movies, or like I said, most horror movies, they'll have like a high pitched, which is usually a violin, and it kind of shrieks, and it just sounds really, really creepy. Kind of makes like, you know, your hair on the back of your neck kind of stand on end.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing years ago that was because, or it was theorized that was because it almost mimics that of a baby screaming or a baby shrieking. And what makes that sound so scary is that it messes with your primal instinct. You're like, oh my gosh, there's danger, there's a baby screaming. Now, I think the painting, what makes it so creepy is that there's like a little kid, a little kid that represents like innocence. And then you kind of see him in this like weird environment. It's like there's this creepy little doll staring at him. What's that about? There's all these hands trying to grasp at him. Like, is it the hands that are trying to get him? Are they trying to go after him? Or is the kid, because he doesn't look like he's scared, is he the bad dude? He locked people, outside.
And I'm starting to question whether they're inside or outside, because I noticed in the bottom section of the picture, it almost looks like grass, but it could also be like cracks in the concrete. But also like the hands look like to be about his size, like a little bit bigger, but they look like child hands.
Yeah.
Overall, like a really disturbing painting, rather.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely eerie. I remember seeing it as a kid, and it kind of freaked me out. And again, it kind of brings back little feelings of uneasiness. But I've been looking at, like, scary paintings all day, so at this point, I'm just a little, like, numb.
Yeah, like jaded.
A little jaded. So I think this is probably for me at the moment, it's probably on the, the lower tier for scary paintings. And I know you had a couple paintings that you were looking into. So did you have any that you wanted to share?
Yeah, well, one of them I haven't seen yet, but it's called The Anguished Man. Have you seen that one yet?
Okay, yes. I know exactly what painting you're talking about. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was painted by a guy that was like in an asylum or something. I think it was something like that, right? And then it was found in an attic, and the attic caught fire, but all the owners, like, their houses or property caught on fire, but the painting was fine.
Interesting.
Is that the same one?
Well, the one I'm seeing...
There's a lot of oranges in the color, right? In the painting, I mean.
Yeah, he's
oranges
like
and blue
orange
in the background.
and the background's blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this grandma, I was trying to figure out where she got it from, but she just kept it in her attic for 25 years. And shoot, where'd it go? I lost the article. But she would hear like a guy screaming. I think maybe that's why she put it in her attic. I'm just skimming over it. Like, again, I haven't seen it yet. After his grandmother died, Sean inherited the painting, Yippee, and took it to his home, where he lived with his wife and son. Immediately, Sean began reporting strange activity that was eerily similar to the stories from his grandmother, crying sounds and visions of a shadow man. Right, so his grandma would see a shadow man too.
Okay.
The activity escalated to the point where his wife began to feel that something was stroking her hair. After his son inexplicably fell down the stairs, the boy claims a presence pushed him. Robinson set up a camera overnight to try to capture the paranormal activity. One of Robinson's YouTube videos shows slamming doors, rising smoke, and the painting falling from a wall. Yeah, that's wild. We should look those videos up.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. I didn't know. That's crazy that they have videos. It looked like a really old painting, too. It looks super old. Like it could have been like tribal people painting, or it looks like something you'd see painted on a cave, kind of. There's not a lot of detail. Yeah, just like a lot of orange, and his mouth is like open wide, and he kind of has an expression of shock, but it's very, what do they call that? Impressionist? I don't remember, but it's like not extremely obvious what emotion he's expressing, because the details just aren't all there, but it doesn't look like a positive emotion for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's that one. I'm curious about the videos. This
Now,
next
I didn't
one
know that...
is really creepy. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. No, I was just going to say, I didn't know that there's videos connected to that one. Is there any origins? Does it say, like, where
Not
or
on
who
this
painted
article. I feel like this one just kind of started out with the grandma who kept it in her attic. But let me look up Robinson's YouTube video, The Anguishing Man. So, have you seen the Crying Boy in the Fires one? That one gives
Yes, I think that...
The Anguished Man doesn't really give me as much of a scared, disturbed feeling as the hands resist him, and then this next one gives me a
The
very
Crying
disturbed
Boys.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have been where I was getting the fire aspect from. Again, with the Crying Boys paintings, that also kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. That does kind of give me a feeling of, why is this little kid, like, crying? Why does he look like he's so scared? You know? Just like I said with the first one, with the hands resist him. So, yeah, it kind of gives me...
Yeah, they're kind of similar.
Yeah.
So the Anguished Man has like a YouTube channel called The Anguished Man, I guess. Or not The Anguished Man, but the guy that owns the painting, maybe. Let's see here. He has a video from 13 years ago. The oil painting has been in our family for nearly 30 years. My grandmother kept it in her attic. She said there was something evil about it. Oh shit, that gave me goosebumps, dude. Apparently the man who painted it committed suicide shortly after finishing it.
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
My grandmother told me the artist used his own blood mixed in with the oils. I never believed in ghosts or the supernatural, but I do now. It's doing like a panning on it that's awful. Ever since this painting has been in our home, we have heard... Oh gosh, this is disturbing. It's like more detailed than that article I was reading. It's actually more detailed. The article just used like a crappy photo of it, I guess. But now I'm like feeling the goosebumps. Okay, ever since it's been in our home, we have heard and seen many unexplainable things. We have seen the figure of a man, but only since we have had the painting. My grandmother told us she used to see a man too. We hear strange noises and crying. Yeah, that's what the article said. Yeah, but I'm looking for that video where he said, like, it would, like... Oh, yeah, here's one. Ghost activity caught on tape.
Just set the Ambushman back up in the top bedroom. I'm going to record it for approximately 8 hours. See if we can catch some of the activity. I'll just give you a quick look at it first.
Okay. says a slight scraping sound can be heard at approximately 2:30. Let's hear this. Once again. Okay. The door suddenly swung shut. There were no drafts in the room and everyone was sleeping. Oh shit. It's like slowly closing. Wow. Okay, so that thing is like spooky and the guy just keeps it for some reason.
Yeah,
Like,
we'll have
why
to
do you
link
think he does that? Is it, he has 19,000 subs. Yeah, I'll share it in Telegram.
yeah, we'll have to link that maybe in the description or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's even more disturbing to watch. Like the audio, you're just not getting the whole experience, because like,
Yeah.
it's just like a picture or like a video of the painting, and for some reason he had it in like a red room. Like it seems like he's kind of obsessed with it in a weird way. But so that video was like 12 years ago, and his most recent was a year ago.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what he had done with the painting. Remember what I said
YouTube
earlier?
Channel about it. That's pretty funny. Instead of getting rid of it, he just made a YouTube channel about it.
Yeah. Well, remember what I said earlier about debunking some of the paintings and having some theories?
Right.
I'm not saying I take it back, but you know, like I said, some of these paintings, they just give off like a weird, like a dreary, kind of scary feeling, uneasy, sick. When you have some kind of evidence like this, that's like a lot harder to debunk. And again, I'm like by no means saying that these paintings are or are not cursed or haunted, but when you have some physical evidence like this, that does make it a lot more legitimate in my mind.
Yeah, and I feel like since the videos were shot so long ago, it's like harder to fake it, maybe. I mean, the store closing, I was thinking like maybe he could have like tied a string to it or something. Maybe he's just trying to like, I don't know if his haunted painting sells good. Like maybe people actually try to make it. Do you think that's a thing where people try to get attention and eyes on their painting by making up stories?
You know, I don't know of any person in particular or any story in particular where that happened, but I mean, a couple of the paintings that I was researching, they just for like their creepiness and kind of like this almost internet type legend that went behind some of them, that almost boosted the painters. That's the word I'm looking for. Basically, it made the painter more famous because of that, with some of them. So
Right. So even if people are like, "Oh, I don't want that in my house," and they just throw it away, well, they might
yeah, I
keep an
mean,
eye on the artist. They know who he is now.
yeah.
They
So
could see that.
there's one painting. It's Pogo the Clown. That was John Wayne Gacy's caricature of a clown that he would dress up as, and it was a self-portrait. And he did a few of them, but this one in particular, like he wasn't like a very good painter, or maybe that's just his style. Obviously, I'm not trying to give him credit or anything, but his painting style is very two-dimensional, almost childlike. And I think, again, that's what made Pogo the Clown so creepy. In this one, I believe he's holding either a couple balloons or he's holding one solid balloon. And there was a few different owners of people who owned the painting. One of them actually being Johnny Depp. And I've heard different stories. I heard he owned a copy of it, and then I heard he actually owned one of the originals. I'm not sure which it was, but nonetheless, he owned an image of Pogo the Clown. And basically, the same kind of thing. He felt uneasy, and he just wanted to get rid of it. So now with that one, though, given the history of, you know, who the artist was, and given the fact that, you know, it was painted by John Wayne Gacy, and it does look really childlike, that could be what makes it creepy, you know? If it was just a random painting and you didn't know who painted it, would you still have the same feeling? I don't know.
Apparently, it got $12,000 at an auction in November 2022.
Oh, did it? So it did sell again.
Yeah, there's just some people like with a lot of money that would want that kind of stuff. It's probably because of the John Wayne Gacy
The
thing,
history. Yeah.
over it
See,
being
and that's what I'm.
haunted.
See,
Yeah,
and
it's
that's what
like
I'm
a
kind of thinking
collectible.
too. But
That is weird
I
that
do
Johnny
know-
Depp had it for a while and then he got rid of it. That's interesting.
yeah. And the other thing is, I do know that your personal items can contain some of like your energy once you pass on. So maybe there's some kind of residue, like a residual haunting from John Wayne Gacy, or maybe it's just that negative energy kind of attached itself to the painting. I don't know. But then again, maybe it was just the fact that he painted it and we know who it was and we know
Yeah.
who painted it. That's what made it so uneasy. What was a little harder to dispute, though, is kind of going back, is the anguished man. Because if there's like actual paranormal events taking place,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if his own blood, if he is literally a part of him is in the painting, then that's almost like a blood ritual at that
Dude,
point.
wow.
You know?
Yeah, that is pretty
So-
wild. John Wayne Gacy probably, I don't know, maybe there is something to that, like attaching the energy to it. Or maybe it is just because you know the history of the painting.
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know for sure. That one, yeah, I saw that on Wikipedia. That one, it's definitely spooky feeling, and clowns are just scary too. So
Yeah, I
they got
remember.
that going on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Is John Wayne
But
Gacy
I remember.
like the reason clowns are scary? Do you think they wouldn't be scary if it wasn't for him? And like, because I think I find them scary because like cartoons and stuff would depict them as scary, but would they have done that if there wasn't a guy like dressing up like a clown and murdering people? Would like Pennywise even be a thing? Was that based on him?
That-
Like,
That's a good question. I'm not sure if they had any connection to John Wayne Gacy. I mean, we still would have had the Joker, and I think
Yeah.
people would have taken the Joker and kind of like made him a little creepier. So I think clowns was still a creepy clowns, that is, killer clowns would have still existed. But would it be to the extent? I don't know. I mean, because like there's the whole killer clown frenzy, years ago, where people are dressing up like clowns and standing in the forest or alleyways, people's backyards. Like it was a thing. And I think probably what makes clowns so scary is the contrast. It's the bright, colorful clothing that you associate with kind of being happy, or like a goofy clown, but then he's doing the exact opposite, which I think makes it so unnerving. So yeah, I don't know. Had he not done that, had he not ever, been like a party clown, I don't know. Maybe we wouldn't think the same way of clowns. That's a good point, though.
yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, I wonder if like cartoon creators decided to do that to be like, hey, just because it's like a clown, that doesn't mean like it's a someone you can trust. But yeah, I guess back in John Wayne Gacy's day, you could people just like trusted strangers more than they do now.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, I don't know if he ever killed anyone while he was a clown. I'm not sure. I do know he would dress up as Pogo the Clown for
like
community events.
hustle.
Yeah, which again, that made it more unnerving. You have a guy who's committing all these atrocities, and at the same time, he's going out to community events and being a clown for kids.
Yeah, I think there's a picture of him with it might have been what's her name, Nancy Reagan. He was there's a
Really?
picture of
Okay,
him
yeah.
with some politician that was really up there. Let me see.
Okay,
if I can
yeah.
find it.
I think you're
I don't
right.
know why
I
this
forgot
is
about
turning
that.
into
Yeah.
a John Wayne Gacy podcast, bro, but that
Right,
picture
yeah,
is
y-
pretty
y-
unnerving.
Yeah, we did kind of take a little spin there, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's another painting, and it's called. Let me look it up. It's a Ukrainian painting from. I want to say it was back in the 80s, maybe. Let me see. Okay, it's actually in the 90s. So, have you heard of the Woman in the Rain painting?
No, but I'm gonna look that up and see if I recognize it.
Yeah, I'd say out of all the paintings that we've kind of covered so far, this one is a little bit more tame. It is like really odd looking, very impressionistic, but
So she
I don't
has
get the
like
same
that
kind of
big
feeling as
hat.
yeah, I don't know
She has
if
the
that's
big
supposed to be like
black
a hat or if that's like horns or what it is. But basically, the story goes is in 1996, a Ukrainian artist had painted this painting of a woman in the rain, and her name was Svetlana Telitas. I probably butchered that. Now, the story goes, she specialized in, like, abstract art. And she had participated in numerous, like, art exhibitions. Again, her paintings are known for, like, a very dreamlike, or even in this case to some people, a nightmare-like quality. And she remembers in this article, 6 months prior to painting the famous woman of the rain, she had a persistent creepy feeling of being watched. But she brushed it off and kept going about her day. One bright sunny day, she sat down in front of a blank canvas, wondering about what to paint. Suddenly, she saw the image of a woman forming in her mind, clear as day, her face, colors, shades, everything. It was all like magic. She painted the main part in just about 5 hours, almost as if someone was guiding her hand. Then she spent another month refining it until it was just right.
So there's some
And again,
outside influence, possibly.
Yeah, so, and I did hear it on a couple other videos and other articles that she did feel that she had her hand being guided. She almost didn't paint it like herself. And
Yeah, it looks
the first
like
buyer,
it could be a lady from like a really long time ago. It looks like it could be like hundreds of years old. But it was painted in 1996. Is that right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
it
in
looks like it could have been
1996.
painted in like the medieval times. So what if it was like an entity from a long time ago trying to
Yeah,
reincarnate in a strange way? Like, interesting.
oh yeah. And this part's actually really interesting right here. Good point, by the way.
Thanks, dude.
So the first buyer was a lonely businesswoman. Apparently she hung it in her bedroom, but she soon regretted it. She felt like someone was watching over her, and she couldn't sleep, even after removing the painting from the wall. The second buyer, a young man, thought the painting would look great in his living room, but he soon regretted his decision and brought it back to the artist. He was willing to pay the full amount just to be rid of it.
Wow.
He claimed that the woman in the painting was haunting him. She appeared every night, following him like a shadow. The third buyer thought he had seen the painting before and was sure that they would get along. But he was wrong. The white eyes of the woman in the painting seemed to follow him everywhere, and he felt like he was drowning in them. He returned the painting to the store. The painter believed that every painting comes from being a specific person, and that there is someone out there for whom her Woman of the Rain was painted for. But beware, for those who buy the painting may find themselves haunted by the woman in the rain and the sadness in her eyes. Now here's what's really interesting. I'm just going to skim through this little part of the article here. A Ukrainian journalist reached out to the church for a comment on what could be causing the paranormal experiences associated with the painting. Father Vitality Golotskevich, I probably butchered that too, a priest of the Transfiguration Cathedral in Viennastasia, and Viennesia. I don't know. I'm going with one of those. Sorry to anyone who heard me butcher that again. A candidate of the theological sciences, he believes that art can be either spiritual or soulful. He specifically refers to the painting being discussed as soulful and believes that it does not come from God. He cautions potential buyers to pay attention to their feelings and aftertaste before purchasing any work of art. According to the father, an artist imbues their mood at the moment of creation into their work, and it is unknown who or what may be guiding the artist. Even if the painting were to be consecrated, it may not help if something unclean was involved in the creation. It is possible that the reputation of the woman in the rain perceives it in a way that causes the buyers to attribute strange things happening around them to the painting. The power of suggestion could have led them to be seeing and hearing things that weren't really there. Perhaps the painting opened up to them seeing the paranormal world, which was already there all along.
Wow. Yeah, that kind of goes back to the John Wayne Gacy Pogo the Clown painting, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, is it actually haunted? Is it cursed? Or is it just that it has the reputation? But what I did find really interesting was what the priest said.
Yeah.
Was about it depended on what the artist was feeling during that creation. And that kind of goes back to kind of what I was saying about like the energy, you know, being able to attach to something that belonged to somebody.
Right.
So I did find that
That's
really
what
interesting.
I was thinking of too, like the energy of a serial killer going into this painting.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's pretty, like when he said how it makes you feel, that's kind of cool too, because that also suggests that his belief is that like paintings store energy, so if you get like a positive painting, that could have a positive effect.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And yeah, that's interesting. I mean, with that painting, it is a little like uneasy, but I don't get the same kind of negative feelings. I mean, I'm not saying you don't get negative feelings from it. It just looks creepy to me, like odd. Yeah, but I don't have the same kind of like.
Here's something
I think it's because it's more vibrant.
Into it. Yeah, the vibrancy helps, but at first, to me it appears as though her eyes are like closed or she's looking down. But as I've stared at it more, it also looks like her eyes are open, but she doesn't have pupils. Like it's like her eyes are just white. Like, do you see that like optical illusion? Like what might have been her eyelashes could also just be shadows under her eyes, or like bags under her eyes.
So I did hear that. I'm gonna take a look at the painting again. Honestly, I didn't really see it that way, but I'm gonna take a look at it.
Yeah, it takes a while. You have to like look at her eyes for a while and just picture her eyes being like white. Like she doesn't have pupils, and then it kind of looks like they're just open. And she's just like,
Yeah.
her eyes are just like white. Which isn't there something about how like a demon appearing, they can't take the full form of a human, like something has to be missing, and maybe that's the demon's way of hiding it in a way, like, oh, I'm missing my pupils, but I'll just make it look like my eyes are closed.
Yeah, about how they couldn't fully mimic a
Yeah.
creation of God, something created in the image and likeness of God. Yeah, that's a good point. Now, I've stared at it for a minute, and I've heard that, and I still can't get that look. To me, it looks like she's looking down at something.
Yeah.
And those are her eyelashes.
Yeah. That's how I saw it at first, but now that I see it as if her eyes are open, but just soulless, it looks way more disturbing. Like, it gives me bad feels.
Yeah.
But when it looks like her eyes are closed, it almost looks like she's just at peace. Like she's content.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting. But when it looks like they're open, it looks like she's staring into my very soul.
And that's interesting, because that's what when I was doing other research and that that painting came up in a video.
Yeah, I feel kind of smart now that
people mentioned that. Yeah,
about it already.
Yeah, so that's funny, because I haven't looked at it like all day. I'm like, I don't see it. But one thing that I did hear about was another common thing about cursed or haunted paintings was people saying that the eyes follow you. And
like this portrait of Bernardo de Galvez.
Yeah, I've heard like a lot of like haunted paintings like that. The eyes will look and kind of follow your movement. But this one guy said that it has to do with the two-dimensional painting and the direction that the pupils or the eye is facing. Because no matter which way you look, the eye is always going to look like it's pointing at you because of the direction that it's at. Because it's like two-dimensional. So that's like a little bit more of like a scientific explanation for some of it. Now I said like a lot of it, some of the stuff you can't really explain. Like, sure, you can even kind of explain the feelings of uneasiness. Again, attributing that to what you've heard. I remember when I was over, I talked about this before, the haunted house that I worked at, with the curtain, and it looked like someone was peeking, and like the curtain was like, swinging, but there's no one living at the house at the time. I remember they had like a painting of a clown. What? It was actually really weird. That's like some really, really weird art, and I actually have some pictures of it I'll send you. And now I know clown art was a thing, but it was like really weird. It's like these clowns in heaven or something, or these clowns and their faces were in the clouds. It was really weird art, and had I just been going to the yard sale and I hadn't been working there, I might have thought it was just like a weird painting. But had I been there for, working there like a couple years in a row, I don't know. Something about those paintings, I'm not saying that they were haunted or anything like that. I'm not claiming that. But it definitely did make it feel a little bit more uneasy.
Yeah. they they at least make you feel uneasy. And as we've talked about in the
Yeah.
past, if entities can pick up on that energy, even if the painting's not haunted, but it just looks spooky, it could increase the chances of a paranormal event happening.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and again, kind of going back just to what that priest said, that kind of sticks in my mind about what their like thoughts were and what was kind of guiding them along while they're in the process of making those paintings. Something about that just kind of sticks out to me.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, I like that little factoid. Shoot, man, do you want to get into any of these other pictures, like from that article I sent, or do you have any others you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do one more. You can go ahead and choose the next one.
Okay. Yeah, this one with the kid, what's it called? The crying boy.
The crying boys? Yeah.
The crying boy and the fires. This one makes me feel probably the most uneasy out of all the ones we've done. Created by Italian painter Bruno Amadio, The Crying Boy was one of a series of mass-produced prints of weeping children staring straight ahead in distress. In 1985, strange stories began to surface about the crying boy in particular. According to a report in The Sun, a firefighter in England claimed that several copies of The Crying Boy had inexplicably survived dozens of house fires. Okay, so this must be what you were talking about with the Englishman. So anyways, the firefighter went on to say that neither he nor his fellow firemen would allow any version of the painting in their homes, as they believed the series was cursed. Households with the crying boy reportedly had a high rate of fires, which caused some to speculate that the paintings were somehow setting homes ablaze. After reading the article in The Sun, many people were eager to get rid of the paintings, so the tabloid organized a Halloween bonfire to destroy the prints. Despite the purge, strange reports still surface related to this painting. There is even an incredible weird BBC video of someone trying to burn the painting, which seems to repel the flames. Whoa. No way. BBC? There's a video of someone trying, and that's like that Twilight Zone episode where that guy's like trying to destroy the doll. Have you seen that one?
Oh, Talking Tina, yeah.
Yeah. She's like indestructible. Yeah, so the painting they used in this article, it's just like one of his eyes are kind of blacked out. The colors are very dark, like the shadows are almost black. And it's not very vibrant. And he's crying, but he also looks kind of angry, too. Not like a totally sad cry. And yeah, that's interesting. That the firemen would... And that they had that big bonfire. That's really interesting, too. And the firemen let them in their houses. And so that's like when you talk about like evidence, that one seems to have a lot of evidence too.
Yeah, and I remember hearing years ago that one theory was the paintings had some kind of a coating on it that acted like a flame retardant, protecting it from being burnt in the fires. But the main question still arose was what caused those fires in the houses. You know,
yeah, maybe people
negligence,
just jumped.
yeah.
Maybe it was just what normally causes fires, but people jumped to conclusions because that was like the one thing that survived. Like,
True.
this painting must be evil.
But yeah, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards some kind of a supernatural thing. I don't know what that would be, to be honest, but I don't know, it does kind of say something if, like, the fire department didn't want to have that painting. You know, they wouldn't allow them. That does say something. And one thing you mentioned when you said that it was just a dark background, it kind of got me to thinking, I think that kind of goes back to our fear of the unknown.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like our ancestors, they would have like had to hide in a cave maybe for like, you know, protection. And maybe if you go beyond the cave, or maybe if you go deeper into the cave, what's deeper in the cave? It's pitch black, you don't know. So I think it's that kind of fear of the unknown. Why is it black? What's lurking in the darkness? You know, I feel like that's something like really primal. At least for me, that's what I think of, is like, why is it dark? You know, what's this little kid hiding from? Why is he crying? Why is he in the dark? And again, kind of like we were saying earlier, since he's a little kid, I think that does also something with your mind. You know, if it was a crying adult, I don't think it would be as creepy. If it was a crying woman, it would still feel a little uneasy. If it was a crying guy, I don't know. It might be still creepy, but I think just the fact that it's a child, that's what makes it stand out more. At least in my eyes.
There must have been a bit of a shock value to it, for sure, when it was being sold before they had that massive bonfire. Maybe that was the idea behind it, like, oh, it's a crying child looking directly at you.
Yeah, and
Pretty out
remember,
there painting.
Yeah, and I remember hearing, like, years ago that those kind of paintings were very common for whatever reason. So it wasn't anything out of the norm. Who knows? It could have just been, like, as weird as it is, it could have just been like clowns. Because like back in the day, you know, clowns were all the rage. Like if you go to an old antique store, there's like clown, like salt and pepper shakers. Or, like I said, that painting of the clown I saw at that house.
Toys. Clown posters.
Posters, cups, plates, candlestick holders, you name it, you know. Clowns, for whatever reason, were kind of all the rage. So, like, maybe it wasn't meant to be super creepy, and there was some kind of a negative thing attributed to that, and that's what made it creepy. I don't know. But again, with those paintings, they do kind of they are a little unsettling to me for sure. But I remember I was watching this art channel years ago, and it was about like creepy paintings, not necessarily haunted paintings, but it was about a lot of paintings that used a lot of dark colors. And I honestly can't even tell you what any of the paintings were, because I can't remember off the top of my head. I think one of them actually might have been, it was a Greek god. I think it was Jupiter, I think, in Greek and Roman mythology. He was like some kind of like a deity or like a god. I don't remember the exact story, but for some reason he like devoured his children.
Oh yeah, what's that one
Because
called?
he didn't. I think it was like Jupiter eats his son or something. Honestly, like that painting's really weird.
Yeah.
Because it's like this dude just like looks insane and he's like biting this kid. That painting's weird, but again, I haven't heard any paranormal things attributed to that as much as it is unsettling, you know? So, who knows? Maybe. I think the darkness in that painting, again, kind of goes back to the fear of the unknown and makes it unsettling, but I don't know. Some of these other haunted paintings are pretty vibrant too. So maybe the moral of the story is intention's everything.
Yeah, there could be like a really happy, bright, sunny painting, but it's haunted. Or for whatever reason it gives you an uneasy feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Which none of the ones we covered today are really like that, except maybe Pogo the Clown. But there's
Yeah, the other
probably a
one-
few out there.
Yeah, the woman in the rain, that one was a little
Right. yeah,
vibrant.
that one
Not
too.
as vibrant, but a little brighter, but still really weird. It does kind of remind me, that painting does remind me a little bit of Marilyn Manson, though.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it's kind
I
of
can
reminds me of
see
Marilyn
that.
Manson, but yeah, that being said, do you have any things you wanted to add?
No, yeah, this was a fun one though.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Afterlife, Haunted Paintings. Please feel free and drop a comment below if you know of any other scary paintings that we didn't cover. Or if you have any theories, go ahead and drop those below. Please like, share, and subscribe. But as always, I've been Dre,
And I've been Luke.
and we'll see you on the other side.